can be. Now, I want to turn to a domestic issue here that is related to the economy. And this is one of my pet peeves. Jay Carney was on Morning Joe program, and they asked him about how deep the recession is. Let's listen to his answer, and then I'm going to set him straight.
There was not a single mainstream Wall Street academic economist who knew at the time, in January of 2009, just how deep the economic hole was that we were in. At that point, we thought we had shrunk by 3% in the fourth quarter of 2008, the last quarter that George W. Bush was president. As you know now, and I know now, it was 9%.
No one could have seen it coming. This is what every government official has said for the last 10 years. Hurricane Katrina, no one could have seen it except the weatherman. Iraq war going disastrously, no one could have seen it except all the people who did see it. And the list goes on and on. Now the recession. Now, it's funny that he said January of 2009, because right at that moment, here are all the economists who said it was terrible. Paul Krugman. He said their plan to jumpstart the economy was nowhere near big enough. It was unlikely to close more than half of the looming output gap. And he said it was the most dangerous economic crisis since the Great Depression. What nobody could have seen him coming. You think it's just Krugman? Martin Feldstein, Harvard professor, former economic advisor to Ronald Reagan. He said this recession is likely to last longer and be more damaging than any since the Depression of the 1930s. But nobody could have seen it coming. James Galbraith, there are many good reasons to think that America is in true financial crisis of the type in the 1930s, but nobody could have seen it coming. These are all in January, February of 2009. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. The economy appears headed towards its worst downturn since the Great Depression, but nobody could have seen it coming. Look, they say that to avoid responsibility. The reality is many progressives in this country said, your stimulus package is way too small, and you didn't listen. Instead, you listened to Tim Geithner, who said, hey, you know what? Make a third of it tax cuts. Instead, you gave in to Republicans and said, okay, we'll keep it under $1 trillion. We don't want to overspend. And what happened? We have unemployment that is, at this point, not only near 9%, but as you'll find out later in the show, in reality, it's closer to 11%. It was too small, and people saw it coming. You just didn't listen to them because you listened to the establishment and not the progressives. I'm telling you that as a friend because you got to turn around. You got to change course.